Hi, I'm Chris from CanCam, and this is the C2 CCD training video. So on the front of your machine, you're gonna have your e-stop that'll cut all power to the machine, your on-off button that will also cut all power to the machine, your vacuum control. If you have a second vacuum pump, you'll have a second vacuum actuator, and then all your vacuum zones and your pop-up pins will be down below. So you have vacuum zone 1 through 6, and then your pop-up pins for aligning your material. So the first thing you're going to want to do is start up your machine, and then you're going to want to start up your software on the computer that comes with your machine. And this is the screen you'll see. Similar to our other machines, you're going to want to home the machine first. So you can just press that. If you exit out of that screen, you can always home the machine using the F12 button in the bottom right-hand corner. The first thing you're going to want to do before you do any cuts is you're going to want to make sure that all your tools in your tool rack are measured. So to do this, you'll go over to the coordinate page on your software, and then you'll go over to tool storage. And from here, you can measure each of your tools, and you can modify your tool locations and switch your tools over here. So currently we have in tool 6. So to measure tool 6, we'll just press right up here where it says measuring current tool. So after your current tool is measured, you can do a tool change just below where it says tool change right here. In here, you're gonna have a list of tool 0 to tool 8. Tool 0 is no tool loaded, and then tool 1 to 8 corresponds to your tools on your rack at the back, left to right. So here you can see that our target tool number is T4 and our current tool is T6. So all we'll need to do is press the switch tool button, and that'll switch us over to tool 4. Over on the right-hand side, after you've homed your machine, you'll see all your axis controls. You have your Y, which is forward and back, X is left and right, Z will be up and down, and your C axis will control the angle of your knife head. On the right-hand side here, you'll see right now it's set to continuous movement. That means as long as I press the button, the axis will move. But below that we have hardware move, which corresponds to the MPG and allow control of the axes that way. And then all the different step sizes from 0.01 of a millimeter up to 100 millimeters. Also in your coordinate page, you're gonna have access to your workplace coordinates. Here you have your G54, which is what will generally be used, but you have access to G55 through G59 as well. G59 will automatically be used for the knife head, and G58 is used if you are using a creasing tool. You can set your current workplace coordinates by using the load current X, load current Y, load current Z, and load current C in the top. This will change your selected workplace coordinate. You can also change any of the workplace coordinates below by pressing on the number and then using load current coordinate in that specific workplace offset. These lower control buttons just below your jog controls will control your spindle being on or off, whether your spindle is raised or lowered, your dust hood up and down, whether or not your knife is vibrating or not, your knife lift up and down, and then tool release if you don't use the button on the side of the head. So when you're setting up your first design using the CCD software, you can import files from the top left where it says file, and then open your vector file. So I have this demo file all set up. First thing we're going to do is just clear off any extra lines that get brought in. And then we're going to need to designate our CCD marker points. So we'll do this by highlighting them and then using the pin tool on the left-hand side. So we'll do that to designate our markers, and you'll see they're now numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next thing we'll do is we will choose the options for our layer cutting out our design. So we'll change our layer color away from the white layer. We'll change it to green. Then in our layer options, we can see green, we're going to use tool 9, which is the knife. Output yes, and our speed is in millimeters per minute. So that'll be 8,000. In our advanced options, we have our material thickness, our final pass depth, and our pass depth. So our material thickness, the machine is going to measure from the bottom of the material. So you're going to want to set your 0 to the top of your spoil board or spoil mat. And then the final depth difference with the material thickness is how far into the material you're going to go. So with a 4.5 millimeter final depth, we're going to go 0.5 of a millimeter into our spoil board. The first thing you're going to need to do when you're zeroing your knife head is you're going to want to make sure your vibrating knife is dropped using the vibration knife up-down button. And then you're going to want to change your movement mode to hardware move so you can lower it using your MPG. Once the knife is close to the surface, you're going to want to pull up the knife cover and then lower it down slowly until the tip of the knife is just touching the top of your spoil mat. Once your knife is in 0 position, you'll go to your coordinate page in your software and select the G59 knife offset, and you'll go to your Z and you'll load current coordinate, and that'll give you a 0 right here. And that's how you can double check that you have the correct coordinate in. For zeroing your spindle, what you're going to want to do is make sure that your spindle is first dropped using the spindle lift button on your software. And then once your spindle is dropped, you can access your probe using the float tool setting button in operation. After you press float tool setting in your operation, the spindle will slowly lower onto your probe. And when it touches off, it'll set the 0 to the bottom of your probe location, which you'll want to be on top of your spoil board. To load a regular G-code file onto your software, what you're going to want to do is go over to Program and then File Management. On your File Management page, you're going to want to go to File Directory along the top and just select the folder that's going to have your G-code files in it. And in there, you'll see a list of your files. From there, you can load it. And then you should be ready to run. If you need to edit your files on the fly, what you can do is load your G-code and then along the bottom hit Edit File, and it'll pop up a text editor so that you can manually edit any G-code. The last thing we're going to do to create our file is we're just going to press the Create File button, and now we're ready to move over to the CCD screen. On the CCD screen, we're going to want to turn on the camera. That'll be the F3 button, or the button along the bottom. You'll see a camera load up. Then we can jog the machine around to go to our first CCD marker. Once we have our first CCD marker lined up, we can fine tune it using the mouse on the camera. We'll just right click on our marker until we move over to where we want to be. And then we will press Load Current Coordinate just below your camera display, and that'll change your starting point. From here, you can double check with the Move to Focus Height. That'll move the camera to its focal height so that it can clearly see your marker. And then we can press CCD Start, and that'll start your file. After your file is loaded, you can simulate the file using the F3 button, and it'll show up on the 3D page where you can see exactly how your file is going to look. And then you can start your file using the Start button, F9. Before running any G-code on this controller, you're just going to want to ensure that your vacuum is on, your dust collection is on, and that you've set all your workplace coordinates properly, and your cut is going to be in the correct area of your machine.